I got me a new snare. This is the Kompressor from Sonor. It's a 14 by 6.5 steel snare drum. This is the first snare drum for my collection, and so that's really exciting. I was not expecting to get this. I went over to Rupp's Drums, which unfortunately is closing down, and they had a really good deal on it, so I figured it's probably a really great opportunity to start my snare drum collection. I've never been one to really gravitate towards metal drums, but recently I've been liking the sound more and more and more, and I actually bought this on a whim just because they were closing down and they had a good deal on it. I was like, you know what, let me get this at a good price, not knowing anything about Sonor snares or drums in general from Sonor. I know that they make great drums, great sounding drums, but I've kind of steered away from them just because of their shell sizes are a little bit funkier than traditional shell sizes. But I know they make quality, so I was like, you know what, let me go ahead and get this snare drum. And from what I've seen, this snare drum is so well regarded for its build quality and its sound. So I've looked up some videos on it, and from what I've seen and heard, this snare drum sounds so freaking good. I'm so excited to get it tuned up and playing on it for some gigs that I have. It strikes me as Sonor's take on a stage custom, Yamaha stage custom, because I know those kits and that snare drum from that kit is so versatile. And so this one seems to be the same way. And something that I learned with this series, the Kompressor series, that they have inside the lugs here, they have a safe tune design. And so that's basically like lug locks inside of the lugs, which is super cool, because that's something that I've always struggled with snare drums that I've played on, and the one that I own is a Gretsch, always detunes from the lugs closest to me. And so I'm really glad that they just built it in, so I don't need to get lug locks, but I will get lug locks for my other snare. But I've always gravitated towards wood snares, and so I'm really excited to use this one, just because, you know, I want some versatility and I want something that's built really well. And speaking of this being built really well, this thing is so heavy, but it's complete steel, so that's super cool. And I know they have the triple flange hoops on here. Just look at this snare. Beautiful snare. And I know they make these metal shells a little bit thinner to match the thickness of wood snares, which is super cool. And so that just helps with the head to seat more onto the shell itself and give a little more resonance, a little more character to the sound. It came with this really cool Sonor drum key. That's super cool. So yeah, I just wanted to share that I got this new snare drum. I'm really excited that this is kind of my first introduction into owning a Sonor. But I want to go through a couple of the things that they have here. So I mentioned that they have the tune safe in the lugs, which is super cool. But they also have plastic washers here, which helps it to not detune as quickly. They just have kind of like a standard snare wires. The latch is also pretty standard, but I'm used to that. It still goes pretty smooth. I'm used to this type of latch just from using Gretsch kits and Gretsch snares. And so yeah, and these are the stock heads right now, but you know, I'll change them out once these wear out to probably some Remo heads. So this one's a steel one. They come in brass and aluminum. I know the aluminum is like, I think it's like 8 inches deep, and just because it's lighter. And then the brass, it comes in a 6.5 by 14. But they also have the steel in a 5.6 depth, still 14 inches wide. But the steel one seems to be, from what I've heard online in videos, seems to be the one that I like the most. So I'm really happy that just luck struck with this, kind of like a perfect storm of getting my first snare And I'm just like so excited that it's a Sonor, because I really don't think I would ever get a Sonor kit. Famous last words, I know, but I just don't see myself being a Sonor owner. But at least I get to use a snare, if anything. And I'm so glad that it's really versatile. You can tune this low and it still has really good tone, tune it medium, high. And so I'm really excited to start using this in different situations, and you know, knowing that the quality is there and that it can really perform well. So yeah, I just wanted to share my first snare, baby. Anyway, thanks so much. I'll see you in the next one. One last thing before I put this away for now. From what I understand, I learned that Sonor was the first manufacturer for metal drums, and then Ludwig kind of discovered Sonor and then made their own version. But yeah, I just think that's really cool that they were kind of the first ones to make a metal drum, and it's just so funny that it's the first metal drum that I've ever owned and first snare drum in my collection. So super cool. I'm so glad that I learned that, and if I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments. But yeah, anyway, see you in the next one.